Lenny. I have handouts, which I'll start right now. Good morning, Toastmates.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like you to consider a question for just a moment. You have a close friend who you've known for years, and that person comes to you and tells you, I'm a Catholic. Just by a show of hands, how many of you would have strong emotional reaction to that? Let me ask you this. The same question, somebody tells you that they're an atheist. Would any of you have a strong emotional reaction to that? Anyone? That's about average. I'd like to talk to you today about atheism. And I'd like to give you a breakdown of what atheism is, some history, how it's been viewed, and whether or not atheism may be growing. So what is atheism? Atheos comes from the Greek word godless. Atheism is a belief that there is no God or a denial that gods exist. The term was originated in the 16th century, but it wasn't really put into words until the 18th century. Percy Shelley, the poet and husband to Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein, was the one who first wrote it in a brochure. He ended up getting kicked out of Oxford University as a result. It is not agnosticism, which is someone who would question God's existence. It is not devil worship. Just as an atheist wouldn't believe in God, they also wouldn't believe in the devil. And it is not a religion, it's a belief. How are atheists viewed? Well, in Roman times, all religious practices inconsistent with the state's religion were considered atheist, and that would include Christians and Jews. During the Middle Ages, science and religion began to give way to free thought and discussion of the ideas behind atheism. And during the Renaissance, those ideas began to grow. And although there were some proponents, they wouldn't put that stuff down in writing. They may discuss it privately, but it wouldn't be that kind of open dialogue that we might have today. But nearing the end of the Dark Ages, between the 16th to 1800s, the term atheist or atheism was used as a way to persecute you. Sometimes imprisoning them for many, many years or a lifetime, or burning them at the stake. But how are they viewed now? In a 1999 Gallup poll, 48% of all Americans would not vote for an atheist running for president. 48%. That's followed by Muslims at 38%, gay men and women at 37%, and Mormons at 17%. In the 2003 Pew Center study assessing American religious belief system, it was found that atheists were viewed by 19% of Americans as mostly unfavorable, but 33% of all Americans view them as very unfavorable. How widespread is atheism? Well, it's difficult to measure that conclusively. Many atheists disavow their affiliation with atheism because of fear of persecution, being able to bring it up in, well, a Toastmasters meeting. A 2000 University of Minnesota poll found that atheists are the most mistrusted of all minorities. In 1995, an Encyclopedia Britannica study found that 14% of the world's population is non-religious, but only 2.4 to 3.8% consider themselves atheists. In the 2004 BBC poll, it found that Europe had the highest rates of atheists overall. And in Sweden, that rate is about 27%. So a lot of atheists, but they also have Swedish meatballs, IKEA, so it's... sorry. Less than 2% of all Americans identify themselves as atheists. And finally, is atheism growing? Well, in 2003, an Encyclopedia Britannica poll indicates the number of atheists is growing, but the percentage is actually going down because the majority of births in this world are happening in more religious states. And so as a result, even as the numbers may be going up, the percentage of folks who consider themselves atheists is actually going down. But interestingly, in 2009, an Irish USA Today poll done from 1990 all the way to 2008, done annually, found that fewer people in every state in the United States identify themselves with any form of religious affiliation. So finally, where is atheism going? Is it going anywhere? Well, there's nothing to show that the percent of atheists are growing, but some things do seem to be changing in terms of the ways that people view religion. And does that mean atheism? Not really. To me, what that may mean is that folks less identify themselves with a religion. Now, there are 22 religions that are identified in the world today, 22. But there are offshoots of that in the hundreds, if not thousands. There's a religion that started in Georgia back in 2003 that the belief system was centered around all of us have 7 clones around the world. There are religions all around the world that have different belief systems. And that's what atheism is. Again, it's a belief system. And so what I would ask all of you to do today in closing is just consider that as a thought in terms of how you may view atheist and how you may view atheism. And think about as to whether or not it's as important to you now as it was at the beginning of my speech. Thank you.
Okay, I will give everybody a minute and a half to finish your evaluations. About 5 more seconds. Now we will have table topics. For our table topics master today, we have Jim Durian. Jim is a licensed attorney and works for the MEDC. He lives in Mason with his wife and daughter and has baby number 2 on the way. Let's please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Jim Durian.
Well, that first speech was so interesting, I'm tempted to change the table topics, but I don't want to put anybody on the spot and make them talk about their religious beliefs, but I think it takes a lot of courage to come out and talk about something that's unpopular. I know I came out of the closet as a Republican a few months back, so there's probably equal number of Republicans in this group of Toastmasters. But so anyways, I think Lenny's theme of looking forward is a great theme because it's hopeful and it's about, I think that